never talk to them boys that sat on them benches. I never talk to them boys that sat on them benches. I was in the game on 4th and inches.
Mic check. Thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me. As you see, I don't have my mic. But what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Polk, a.k.a. a.k.a. the Damn Truth. And excuse me because I keep looking up because I do got the game on. I do got the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat game. So I am glancing at that every once in a while. But we got a good show tonight. I'm excited. So, first of all, before we do that, y'all know what to do, man. Hit that like button, share the video. 16 people in here, but let's share the video. Let's let everybody know we are live, and let's get people in here. Let's get the chat full like we usually do. But we got. Well, I'm gonna let him introduce himself. But we got a guest, and I'm gonna bring him in here, and we're gonna talk some. Florida State stuff, man. We're gonna talk. Is the 7-win season enough? We don't talk about it, but without further ado, Mr. Kelvin Hunt.
What's going on, man?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. How you?
Good. You sounding good. All right. So I'm glad you're here with us tonight.
Man, glad to be here, man. Glad to be here. Been looking forward to it all day.
That's what's up. Obviously, I know we follow each other on Twitter, but I've been listening to you for a while, and I know you do the chat. So I'll just let you introduce yourself and let people know, if they don't know who you are, where to find you, what platforms you're on. So by all means, the floor is yours.
Man, whatever, everybody. Kelvin Hunt, editor of chopchat.com. Also on Twitter. Of course, run that handle. Also run my personal account, it's a KH Chop Chat, and of course the Built for Playmaker podcast. So looking forward to rocking with you guys. Always looking forward to talk about Noles football. Polk does a great job. Always interesting to hear his takes and whatnot. And so ready to get into it, man.
And where can they find you on? Where can they find your podcast? What platform?
It's on all the platforms, man. Apple, Spotify, all the joints. Just search Built for Playmakers, and we did.
There you have it. So yeah, if you don't know, if you haven't listened to Built for Playmakers before, I advise you go check it out. You guys know how I do. I always like to give y'all a different perspective, so I always like to plug different guys. But let's get into it, man. Did the baseball team win? I know they had.
I was checking it out just then, and nope, they lost.
They came back in the 8th, from what I had heard, and
yeah, dude hit a walk-off bomb, a 3-run shot. Looks like I was just watching it. They were up 5-4.
Yeah, they were
with one out, and one of the guys that leads the team in homers, Osuna, hit a 3-run bomb. Looks like, so they lost.
Well, that's tough. That's tough. All right, so you hit me up and you mentioned, because this has kind of been a big talking point, right? It's 7-win. People are, I feel like people are kind of hedging their bets, but that's just my opinion. But people are kind of, 7 wins is great, and I'm kind of in the other boat. But I want you to give your, how do you feel? Do you think in year 3 is a 7-win season enough? Are we expecting more? For me, I kind of broke it down into I broke it down between schedule and talent to determine, is this a 7-win team, an 8-win team, however you want to. But I think people want to hear also what you have to say. And so, yeah, I'll let you go.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I think I saw you retweeted or or you and some other people were in, everybody you were saying they were hedging their bets and whatnot. And I hadn't really been on Twitter that much this week, not like usual. So I've missed a pretty good amount of things. And so I started thinking about it, and I was like, man, last year I was saying this, they had enough talent to win 7 or 8 games last year. And it was all hinging, they didn't have any depth, so you're like, well, frontline starters, they're good enough to win 7 or 8 games, but are they going to stay healthy? Which we knew was an issue with Jordan Travis and the offensive line, because you had a lot of young guys up there. And so I'm like, if he doesn't miss, the time he missed last year, they probably win 7 or 8 games. So when you come into this year, you bring a ton of talent back, a lot of experience back on both sides of the ball. Why can't you win 8 games? And so I wrote about it on Chop Chat today. And when you look at talent wise, if you go to I think it's collegefootballdata.com, and you look at the composite rankings for last year, they didn't have like the current roster right now, but if you look at last year, FSU lost obviously Jermaine Johnson in the first round, lost Ja'Shawn Corbin, undrafted free agent, but solid running back. They lost some other guys as undrafted free agents, but let's be real. You got enough guys on the team right now, and you're more talented than 7 or 8 teams you're going to face on the schedule this year. There's only about 4 teams that have more talent, or you may be neck and neck with. And so when you look at the talent, you look at you got a full off season. There's no excuse there. You got a full off season. You had a full spring. Everybody's familiar with the schemes. Other than people like Verse and those guys that just came in, but those guys are not rookies, so they played football before. When I look at it, I'm like, 8 wins, man. It should be the expectation. It's year 3. Like I said, you don't have any excuses. And then you say, well, if Jordan Travis gets hurt, that throws everything off, which is true. But at the same time, you knew he was injury prone going into the year. You didn't do anything to address that. So if he does go down, God forbid, everybody's going to fall off whenever you have to put a backup quarterback in there. But again, you go into the season knowing he has a history of injuries. So, they kind of, going all in with him, and we'll see how it shake out. But if he stays healthy, there's no reason why they shouldn't win 8 games. I don't believe.
I got to say, you said a mouthful. You said a lot of things that I have been screaming to the heavens. So I really want to kind of break it down a little bit, because I got people talking about schedule and talent. Jay right here says schedule is harder this year. Not too sure about that, but we're going to talk about the schedule. He said schedule is harder this year, but 8 wins is the minimum. Normel, got to go if you can't get 8. So let's start with the schedule. I want to start with the schedule since they brought it up. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna put the schedule on the screen right now, and we're just going to talk. So right there, you see the schedule. Now, for me, I broke the schedule down. Really, it's 6 and 6, meaning I got 6 games that are. So I got 6 games that I feel like FSU should be favored in, with the exception of one. So I got Dunquise. How do you say that? Dunquise?
Duquesne.
Duquesne. I always mess that up. Duquesne, Boston College, Georgia Tech, Louisiana, and Syracuse. FSU should be favored in those 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
The other game I put in this category is Louisville. Now, Louisville is going to be tough because I think that's a Thursday or Friday night game away. That's always a tough game for Florida State. Like, I don't know what it is about going there in Louisville. It's always a tough game. Plus, Cunningham is a legit problem. But am I asking too much if I say 5-1 at the worst? I'm asking you.
I don't think so.
The worst.
Look, you got a bye week going into Louisville,
and you get a bye week before that match. So,
yeah, you got a bye week to prepare for him. You've seen him how many years? 3 years, 2 years now. I mean, I know they lost a couple of their receivers, although I think they might have got some other guys from the portal. You know, when you look at the only thing about it is, you know, they bring back all of their quarterbacks return. That's the only thing you could look at and be like, you know, well, that is going to be a factor. And all of those quarterbacks, you know, they're not, you know, chunks, but you know, are they going to be first round picks? Probably not. You know, so you beat some talented quarterbacks last year. You beat Sam Howell. You beat Phil Jerkovic already.
Right. That's
so
in those first 5, well, those aren't the first 5 games, but in that 5-game section, again, I think 5-1. I think. Look, I know we're talking about Louisville. I do think that's a tough atmosphere. That's a tough game to go in. I agree with you. You've seen them for 2 years now. Can you finally get over the hump? But I don't know if you lose that game, it's a damning thing, because we've seen some good coaches go into that environment and lose, right? But then I look at the next 6. Now, the next 6, that's the tough one. That's LSU, that's Wake Forest, that's NC State, Clemson, Miami, Florida. So those are the teams that FSU probably won't be favored in any of those games. Maybe Florida. I don't know if Florida's going to have a good team this year, personally.
Yeah. I know on the defensive line, you know, your boy out there putting out, hey, anybody that can play, come, you know, from the transfer portal, come join us. You know, we need help. Exactly. You know, you probably win that game last year if Jordan doesn't have to miss a quarter and a half, 2 quarters or whatever, you know. You know, the only thing about that Florida game last year, that I do think there was a different physicality in that game that you didn't see in the other games that kind of made me, you know, hey, there's a difference here, you know, but you know, they hung with those guys, and like I said, they lost a lot of guys from the defensive line. So Florida's winnable, man. Florida's winnable.
Definitely.
Sure. You know, then going back and looking at it, you know, like I said, Syracuse, Tech, you should win those. And I'm not as high. I know everybody's sold on NC State. I was saying it last year, and the only thing about that game last year is, you know, half the team was sick. Of course, Travis, he didn't play that game either.
I'm 100% with you.
And they were.
I think like 11 or 12 players missed that game because of the flu or something.
Yeah, like you know, and they were in the game. Like, yo, if you had any semblance of an offense,
absolutely,
you probably win that game.
Because the game by 14. We only lost that game by 2 touchdowns, and we couldn't do anything on offense.
Yeah, the defense was, you know, holding boys in check, you know, but at some point, you know, you just hold, and after a while, they're going to break through because the offense didn't do anything, you know. So I'm looking at it, and I mean, Leary's a good quarterback, but I'm just not, you know, they do that little dink and dunk thing, you know. I'm not sold on NC State being, I mean, they're not bad, obviously, but their defense is going to be probably better than the offense, but I'm not just conceding that game either. It is at NC State, but you know, I don't know. I don't really buy into that whole, you go into places you struggle to play in the past. You know, that's different coaches, different teams.
I hear you.
I don't believe in that.
I hear you. You get Wake Forest at home. You get Clemson at home. I feel like if Clemson would have been a home game last year, I feel like we win that game. I feel like we win that game.
You right there. You right there.
And you get
right there. And I mean, you know, you're in a position to win it. You know, a couple plays here, a couple missed tackles here, a couple flags here that probably shouldn't have been thrown, and that's the game.
Your toughest away game is probably Louisville, looking at the schedule. LSU is a neutral site game, but I'll consider that an away game, being down there in New Orleans. That's going to be an away game. And then Miami, look, it's away, but we all know that's not the toughest place to go play a football game.
Oh, you know we're going to go down to Doak South, bro.
So that's what I'm saying. So when we break the schedule down, can you go 3-3 in that LSU, Wake Forest, NC State, Clemson, Miami, Florida? Can we go 500?
That's it.
That's
it. And you win the games you're supposed to win.
And you win the games you're supposed to win. And we're not talking about a 6-7 win team.
Nope. Nah, it ain't, you know, it ain't far-fetched, man. I mean, I'm just looking at it like, man, look, you know going into the season what it is. You got to win. It's year 3. Like I said, I kind of gave him a pass first year, obviously, no off season, whatever, roster all jacked up. You don't have a quarterback. And even last year, I mean, you still had, you still dealing with COVID somewhat, but you still were able to practice and whatnot. But this year right here, like I said, the talent is there to beat the teams you should beat. As long as you don't go in there and turn the ball over 3 or 4 times like you did against Notre Dame in the opener, that's what cost you that game. And that's 21 points right there for 3 turnovers. So as long as you don't, and after that game, they did a really good job of not turning the ball over, So, yeah, man, I'm not settling for 7 wins. I'm not.
I'm glad someone else is saying it.
I'm not.
So my question for you is, what? So we're saying, barring injuries, right? Obviously, injuries, you can't control that. Something happens, and it is what it is. So barring like serious injuries, is there any way you would take a 7 or 6 win season and say, it's not what we wanted, but I see some improvement? Like, what? I guess what I'm trying to ask is what could happen during the season that would make you happy's not the right word, but I don't know.
Like, you mean like give them like, okay, the benefit of the doubt, right? If they win 7, nah, I'm not doing it with 6.
I'm glad.
6 ain't enough. 6 ain't enough. If they win 7, if they go 7-5, I don't know. I guess it would depend on, like you said, if there was a major injury somewhere or that that they really couldn't foresee happening. And I don't even want to talk about. I don't want to speak any names or any type of things into an existence. So I'm not even going to mention any players, but maybe that, or just something crazy happening. They're in a position to win the game, and you just don't make a play or something. That it's not on the coaching. It's just you just don't have the players in a certain game to make the plays.
I could see that. A bad snap, maybe a fumble at the inopportune time.
Yeah, because that happened in Notre Dame. Damn, we couldn't snap the ball.
True.
So other than that, though, man, let me say this. We had some things happen last year, and you were like, when they started 0-4, you were like, okay, all this other stuff is probably not possible. You weren't thinking they were going to beat Miami. You didn't think they were going to beat or even be in a game against Florida or against Clemson.
Man, after 0-4, I didn't, to be honest with you, when we started 0-4, I didn't know if we were really going to, I didn't see a winnable game, maybe other than Syracuse and UMass.
Right.
I was like, oh, this is bad.
I mean, I ain't even want to write about it, to be honest with you. I was just like, doing podcasts. I was just like, man, what the world, bro? I picked the worst time to start a podcast. I was like, dang, but if they beat if they would have beat Miami and Florida and Clemson, and then they won those 3 somehow and then slipped up against I don't know, Boston College or Louisville or something, Wake Forest or something, and won 7 games. You probably could sell that.
You make a good point. If you win 7 games, but you beat all your rivals in the season, you could probably sell that.
Yeah,
you got to win your bowl game though.
Right. You
have to go win the bowl game.
Yeah, so that's going to put you at what, 8-5 if you win the bowl game?
8-5.
So you reach 8 wins, but I know the bowl game don't really mean anything nowadays. But it's still 8 wins. Hey, nowadays you like, I'm taking 8 wins, bro. Any way I can get it.
Especially when we haven't played in a bowl game in a minute.
Yeah. What's your take on it? What you think?
I've been like this from the jump. 8 wins is a minimum for me, and I really look at the schedule and I say I don't really see 5 acceptable losses. I think it was Bobby Bowden that said it the best. He said you lose big, then you learn to lose small, which what they did last year. Year 1, we were getting blown out. Last year, we were in there was no blowout. Every game was a close game. The only game that got away from us was Wake, and that's because we turned the ball over, I think, 5 times in that game.
6 times.
6 times. Ridiculous. So we were in every game last year down to the wire, and some of them we just couldn't close them out. This should be the year where you start learning to win those close games.
Yeah. And they showed a little bit last year. I mean, look at Syracuse. First game they won. They easily could have lost that game. They pulled it out. Easily could have lost Miami.
Yep.
Came back, pulled it out.
Yep.
Could have lost Boston College, even though the referees, they inserted themselves in that one. They could have lost that one. I mean, hell, Boston College was marching, and we get an interception in the game, you know? So they've shown, you know, I mean, you remember, man, 2019, 2020, hell, we could be up 2 or 3 touchdowns, and then it's like a turnover would happen, and then we're getting rolled for like the next 28 points, you know? So, yeah, you see some changes. I mean, you see progress, but it's like you're at a point now where it's like you got to get over the hump and get these wins. Close losses ain't enough anymore.
Exactly. That's my point. So, yeah, I think they're going to be in every game. I mean, obviously that LSU game, I don't know how much you really take from that game. It's going to be a fun game. And you're catching them at the right time because they have their own. And that's another point that I really haven't brought up. FSU's toughest games, all of them have coaching turnover. Mm-hmm. We have to be able to capitalize on them. Mm-hmm. At what point do you capitalize? LSU, new coach. Miami, new coach. Clemson has the same head coach, but they got an entirely new defensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator, Florida, brand new coach. I mean, you got to be able to capitalize on this stuff. You're Mike Norvell and company. You're the tenured staff.
Yep.
If you see what we're trying to do here, folks, I'm not trying to make any. It's not about making excuses for Mike. It's just telling the truth. And
that's it. I thought about it as well. It's like you said. It's like you know, whenever you're a new coaching staff, you always, you know, you don't always hit the ground running. Whenever you have turnover on your coordinators, you know, it takes some time to work out those kinks and whatnot. You got to learn the players and all that. Like you said, it's a perfect opportunity to you establish, you know, all of your players for the most part, you know, at the key positions. Hey, it's no excuses, man. You got to go win a game.
There you go. You got to win a game. Do you think is talent an issue with this team? Because I've also heard that a lot of people still talk about, this Florida State team isn't talented. And
look, so that's why I kind of went in detail with the whole talent thing in the piece today, but also I went and looked at some advanced metrics. I'm one of those nerdy guys at times. I don't you know, I like to back up what I say. You go in and advanced metrics have FSU is, I think they finished number 40, 46, 47, I think it was. And that's with the first 4 games. I mean, the defense wasn't terrible in the first 4 games, but they could have been better. I mean, you had a lot of blown assignments that cost you. And then also the offense, considering that Jordan Travis missed, you know, the equivalent of 3 to 4 games, the offense was still top 50 according to advanced metrics. And so the advanced metrics I'm using right now that I'm talking about are from BCF Toys. That's Brian Freemove. I think that's how you say his name. And it's similar to the Bill Connolly, SP Plus, all that good stuff. It's kind of, you know, one and the same. So, you know, it takes account into, garbage time and all that good stuff. And so if you top 50 in both of those and you had a major injury on the offense and you bring leadership on the D-line back, you bring leadership at a linebacker spot back, you bring leadership and an all ACC player in Robinson in the secondary and some other talented guys. I mean, why shouldn't you improve on that?
I mean, I think you mentioned it earlier. There's maybe, I'm looking at 2 or 3 teams that you would say has more talent than Florida State on the schedule. Mm-hmm. LSU's got the talent. and we know Clemson's got the talent. And then maybe Miami or Florida.
Yeah, if you look at the composite rankings, Miami and Florida, they still have it's not a huge gap,
right?
But it's a gap, but it's not anything you can't overcome. I mean, like I said, last year you beat one of them and
should have beat
the other one you should have won. So, and when I look at it, you say, okay, well, defense, I think, obviously going to be the strength of the team. Probably offense should be better, but you say, okay, on offense, what was the weakest link? And obviously that's wide receiver. And, you went to the transfer portal, got some guys, are they better than what you had last year? Yeah. Are they going to be superstars? Probably not. But I think they're going to be better. You can't be much worse than you were last year from the wide receiver position. And even still, they found ways to scheme them open and things like that. They were dropping passes and, so I just, I think the weakest link on your team, the wide receivers, should be better than they were last year.
Well, I like what I saw at Pittman in the spring. I like the way they're trying to use him.
Pittman?
Yeah. From Oregon, I like the way they're trying to use him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's going to be a guy, I think, when it's 3rd and 3rd and 6, and you need somebody to get open and get catch something across the middle or something. And, he what I like about him is he catches the ball and he don't dance. He going straight forward to get some yards.
He's almost like a running back.
Mm-hmm.
With the ball in his hands.
Yeah. The other thing too is when you look at offensively, when they got in the red zone last year, that was money.
Yeah, they were a good.
It was money. I mean, they were scoring touchdowns at almost a 70% clip, and that's including, plays when Travis won in the game. It's the biggest problem they had last year too was just special teams. I mean, damn. You losing 30 yards on a punt just because you don't catch it. And when your offense is boom or bust, those 30 yards are the difference a lot of times. And if you can score or not.
I mean, frankly, if we probably don't muff that punt in the Florida game, we probably win that.
Probably win the game.
So
probably win the game.
Special teams killed us. The missed field goal at Notre Dame. Special teams were atrocious. So we got to share that up.
Yeah, because as soon as my boy dropped that punt against Florida, it was like a switch got flipped.
Yeah.
And you're right. So I mean, if they just simply, just fair catch the kickoffs, take the ball at the 25 instead of getting tackled at the 16, just little things like that. Because if you punting, if you go 3 and out from there and you punting and they get the ball at midfield, if the defense only got to defend 50 yards, I mean, come on. That's a lot of things that happened last year too. A lot of people were blaming Fuller. And I know I'm probably in the minority. I know everybody wanted to fire Fuller, but I was like, there's a lot of stuff going on that is affecting the defense. Whenever the offense can't score, bro, it just psychologically, you like, bro, they can't even score. Why do I even want to try to stop them?
Yeah.
But you saw whenever the offense showed some life, bro, the defense just fed off of it.
I felt like the defense hit a switch after what game was it? I feel like after that Louisville game.
After Louisville, second half of Louisville.
They flipped the switch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they moved Jamie to safety and stopped moving him all around. That was it.
I think that's a testament to. Look, I'm not the biggest Fuller fan because there's still some ways he uses his. There's ways he uses certain players that I don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, he showed me when Cooper finally became a starter at corner, that secondary looked a ton better when certain guys, we won't say any names, but certain guys weren't back there getting burnt deep. Like you said, when they put Jamie back at safety, him and Nakeem, that probably became the best safety tandem in the ACC. Looking very forward to seeing those guys. When Tyler kind of hit, we minimized the mistakes later on in the year. There weren't no more of those big chunk plays on offense or that on our defense. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think the defense is going to be the strength of the team. I think the front seven should be fairly I don't want to say the word dominant. It's too early for that, but I have a high expectation for them. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that.
Yeah. One thing I like too about Fuller is, if you guys go back to the Syracuse game, I don't know if everybody remembers it, but Coop got in the game, and if you remember, whenever the Cuse quarterback broke off that long touchdown run, and Cooper was one of the guys in the picture, and it looked like he was running in quicksand, and everybody was like, "Yo, like, wow, what the world, how is he out there, or whatever?" And then you saw a couple of games later, he started making plays. And so one thing I do like about what they did was, he wasn't even an early enrollee and missed a lot of fall.
Yeah.
And he came out and started making plays in practice, and they put him in there. And so, kind of the whole, best person going to play. Hey, that's what you got to have. So I like that. I like that, the way Fuller did, those guys did that.
I'm with you. So I don't know how long I got you tonight.
We can rock for a while, however long you want to go.
So we talked about the 7. So we're in agreement. 7 wins, no go. We need 8 or more. And if nothing else, for recruiting purposes, you got to start showing kids, because recruiting's lacking. So and this is leading into the next topic I kind of want to get on. And Ingram Smith from the Newcast, he said Mike Norvell was trying to get NIL in place a year ago. And for whatever reason, Florida State was being Florida State and kind of didn't pay attention. And now here we are, seemingly behind on the NIL front. Do you give him a pass on the recruiting because of that?
Somewhat, because you didn't have an AD last year. So when Mike was trying to do that, you had no AD.
Yep, and the guy we had was all about trying to cut costs. He was all about cut costs.
Yeah, so I do give him a somewhat of a pass. I mean, now you still had some misses on the road. I mean, on the recruiting trail that you can't have. You still had some coaches that it's unacceptable, bro, not to bring in any wide receivers. That's unacceptable. That's crazy. I mean, I blasted Willie when he didn't bring in any skilled players. I gotta blast them when they don't bring in no wide receivers. And I feel like they were going to go transfer portal anyway with wide receivers, because they really only targeted Coleman and Mortimer. Yeah. And other than that, they really, So even late in the game, they weren't really throwing out any new offers or whatever. So I feel like they were going to go portal heavy anyway, which I don't know if you've heard it. I've talked about it before. I don't care how good you are as a wide receiver. It's incredibly difficult to make an impact as a freshman. I mean, it just is. I went back and looked at the 2021 class, and I think out of the top 50 in the nation, there were only 8 that made any sort of impact as a true freshman. So everybody's saying, oh, Coleman, he'll come in and, do this and do that. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I think that's why they were like, we just want, we'll try to get these 2 guys, and then we're going to go portal heavy. But then when they missed on those 2, they really had to go portal heavy. And they did a good job getting, Winston Wright. And
I just thought they did a good job in the portal personally.
Yeah. I mean, they
different guy. They got a guy that's 6'7". Got their quick slot guys and Wright and Micah. And then Drew Span's a nice X factor to me. I personally don't expect anything from him this year. But he's a guy that if you can put it together, he's 6'4", and apparently is super fast for his size and
Oh yeah, Buddy got Nas buttons out there, man.
And he was a quarterback, so he's not even really played receiver. So I like what they did in the portal receiver. I was very high on that too. What I'm not high on, you talked about last year's recruiting on the wide receiver. This year's worse to me.
Yeah, what they got Jacobs and the other guy they just got on April Fool's Day.
They got a couple guys committed, but that's not the reason, and it's not a knock on the kids that are committed. I want to be clear. Yeah. The problem I have is the state of Florida. This is being called the best wide receivers and maybe in the history of the state of Florida right now.
This is true.
It is loaded with top tier guys. We're not in the running for any.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous to me.
Well, the crazy thing is, at one point, it seemed like we were in a good position with a couple of them. I mean, we were getting them on campus or whatever, but then, last season happened and it's like, it just fizzled out, it seemed like. And I wrote about it the other day, it is kind of a lull in the recruiting and, the summer months, June, July, you'll have camps. And that's when you're going to know what's what. In the next couple months, you're going to see what's what. So if you don't see these guys come to campus or do anything, then you already know.
But my issue is a lot of these kids are already dropping top fives.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't even in the top five. So if you're not even in top five, it's hard to get in there later on.
Yeah.
So that's my issue.
What the thing too is though, I guess, they got 2 committed and I guess, they were committable offers. They let them commit. So you can only take probably 2 more?
Well, with this
maybe 3?
I would.
Or now obviously if you got 2 guys that were top guys wanted to come in, I guess you could push the other cats out, theoretically.
Yeah, if you had to, yeah.
But I mean, how many can you take? How many would you take? I mean, you just took 4 guys from the portal.
I would take another, and I hate to bring this guy's name up because depending on if Hill, the imaginary wide receiver from Louisiana, shows up, I think that might affect your numbers as well. So
it will, but I'm like, at this point, I said it on my podcast months ago. Bruh, he ain't played in how long?
No, I get it. Which I've talked about it the same. Even if this is why I don't like talking about it, because even if he does show up, not only has he not played football in 2 years,
mm-hmm.
I've never seen a situation where this kid actually went completely off the grid. I don't know what happened, and it's led to why a lot of people have speculated about it.
Mm-hmm.
No social media. He just went black. He went dark.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect from Dustin Hill if he does show up. Like you said, he ain't played football in 2 years, so he's definitely going to take the red shirt, and he's not going to contribute year one.
Yeah,
he's just not. He's just not.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking at the comments. If you don't mind, Okay. Somebody said it's not Dugan's. Nobody wants to play with Travis. Hey, that is absolutely a factor. I'm not saying that, they don't want to play with Travis, but when you're looking at an offense that can't really have success throwing the ball, you kind of say, well, I saw what you did in Memphis, but I'm not seeing it right now. I mean, you kind of have to take somebody's word that, hey, we can make it happen when you get here. We'll have somebody that'll get you the ball. But when you look at other teams and they just throwing the rock all around the place, it's easy for other programs to just negative recruit that and say, hey, look, you see what they're doing over there? Look at what we're doing, though.
My only defense, and I've been critical of Travis, too. My only defense of Travis, though, and it's kind of why I'm kind of leaning into this year, hoping to see what I think I saw by the end of the year last year, is that the man has had an uphill battle. They haven't believed in him. They didn't believe in him year one, because Blackman got this nod, and then Tate Rodemaker of all people got them before him. And then last year, I felt like they couldn't wait to put Milton in the game.
Yeah, I was.
His helmet comes off, and then bam, they threw Milton in there and almost never looked back. And then they start playing this little thingy with the quarterbacks, rotating them, lining guys up at receiver.
Yeah, that pissed me the hell off. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro.
They didn't believe in Travis. And now I'm kind of hoping, okay, maybe you have no choice but to believe in him now. Maybe that's the case. So that's really kind of my only defense of Travis is like they never really believed in him, and now maybe they finally are,
Yeah, I feel you. And I will say, Travis showed some progress last year, man, progression as a passer. I mean, if you look at the last 3 or 4 games, it felt like they really started to kind of turn him loose a little bit. If you looked at earlier in the year, I mean, against North Carolina, I think it was 11 or 13. He only threw the ball 13 times.
But he played a great game. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then when you look at Boston College, Miami, Florida, it was all almost 30 attempts.
I think the last I just was looking at the stats earlier. I think the last 3 games of the season, he hit over 200 yards, which is like a first for him.
Yeah, so if you look at it and you say, okay, well, I don't know if this is the right word, extrapolate that over 12 games, he gonna put up some numbers.
I agree.
But can he stay in the game? And I will say now, he did do a better job of, and I wrote about this too, of making better decisions when he ran. Instead of trying to get that extra 2 yards, he just went ahead and got out of bounds, and he did a better job of not taking the big hits that to kind of put him out or had to force him to leave the game or whatever. So we'll see, man. But it's a lot riding on my dude this year. It's a lot riding on him.
He is the single most important piece. I feel, obviously, right? He is that. He is that guy. Any faith in, like, I don't want to gloss over Rodemaker, but I'm kind of going to gloss over Rodemaker. Any faith that if it happened, Duffy could come in? I don't think so. I think if an injury was to happen to Travis early, that would be the worst possible scenario. But if I think an injury, if I'm the coaching staff and I'm smart, I'm kind of putting AJ Duffy through the ringer in practice. Like, I'm throwing some bullets at him, because by game 6, if an injury happens, I think I might be able to put Duffy in there if I don't believe in Rodemaker, which I know the fan base is not happy with Tate at this point.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what they were doing this spring, throwing a lot of him, seeing what he can handle, and usually Mike and those guys are usually pretty candid, more so than most coaches when it comes to what they think of a player. And he talked about how he was impressed with what he could handle, and and he made some throws at practice from what I heard. And I think you kind of would have to go with Duffy, really, if it's like midway point of the season.
Yeah.
Because that's really supposed to be your future anyway, right? And so if you like, well, look, he got hurt. I mean, not to make an excuse, but you'd almost would say, look, well, we had a true freshman out there. He was taking his licks, but we're gonna be ready in 2023 or whatever. I mean, not that would make anybody happy whatsoever, but that's like the only thing you could do to swing it. Because if you go out there and you try to rock with Rodemaker and it is what it has been, then you're gonna get criticized because you didn't bring anybody in from the transfer portal when we were telling you 2 months ago.
Well, in that instance, I actually think he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't, because if he plays Rodemaker, the criticism's coming.
Yeah.
If he plays Duffy and Duffy struggles like a freshman will struggle,
probably is going to
be criticized anyway, right? So unfortunately, he's not gonna. Again, and that's been my biggest criticism of Mike. That's actually, I feel like I'm one of the few people. I have harsh criticisms, but I also feel like I'm pretty fair on Mike. And I give Mike. There's a lot of things that Mike has done that I've liked, but his biggest criticism to me has been flat out the quarterback situation. From the jump, I feel like he's failed, just from the handling of it to bringing in the talent necessary. I feel like he's failed quarterback wise. So he's damned if he does, and damned if he doesn't on that quarterback situation.
Yeah. I will say, I mean, he brought Chubb in or whatever, but we know how that situation went. But but that was a blue chip, right?
Yeah.
Duffy is a blue chip.
Yeah.
And he already has Parson, and people, it's kind of, some people, that seems to swing one way or the other with Parson, whether people think he's going to be really good or not. But the thing is, you got him in the fold as of now. How recruiting works. So it feels like if you're looking at it from
I'm sorry. Go
ahead.
I was about to say, the thing about Parson is I like him. I think people need to pump their brakes on Parson. I've watched him. He's a great athlete. He does some good things as a dual threat. But I'm hearing people talking about something. He coming in and he better than Duffy off the bat. I'm like, no, he's not. No, he's not. We got to pump the brake on Parson. Nice prospect, but there's a reason he's one of the lower rated 4 stars.
Right.
They usually get those recruiting rankings pretty accurate.
Right. Yeah. I feel you.
A little bit on Parson a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, I would, what I'm saying is, he's finally addressing quarterback recruiting, right? So you got Duffy, you got Parson lined up, and he's already got the 24 kid, was it Croman Hawk or whatever. And, I don't know if they'll get him or not, maybe, probably not, but they at least are entertaining it, I guess, with, was it Jaden Davis, who got him on campus twice in the spring.
Okay.
So he, it's lining up. You can kind of see things where you like, I can see where it could happen. As far as like addressing needs and getting things in place to where it's, every year it's just boom, boom, boom. You kind of replace guys and you keep it moving. Kind of how Dabo did. Boyd was gone. Then it was Watson.
Yeah.
Watson left. Then it's Lawrence or whatever. Not saying those guys are anything like those players because those players are transitional guys. But but you can kind of see, if he can kind of get this year, and win 8 games or whatever, you could kind of see where he's going if he gets there. But he got to get there.
Got to get there.
I hear that. But I mean, back to your original question as far as talent wise, I mean, like I said, the weakest link was wide receiver. They addressed that with guys that have experience, that are college, they're physically ready to play. And that's what you got to have at that position. Like I said, you can bring all the talent freshmen in here you want to. They're just not going to have the impact that most people think. So you got that. Tight end, I don't know what they're doing at tight end. I have no idea. I like the Courtney kid. He's crazy athletic, but he's not going to do anything as a freshman. Just that you go back to what I just said about wide receiver, So I don't know what they're going to do with tight end.
We just got so many bodies at tight end for it to be that little production from the position.
Yeah. And I was thinking we were going to get a little more attrition from that position whenever the deadline was coming for the to enter the portal, and that didn't happen like I thought it would. So I thought that would open up a few more spots. But when you look at it though, how I was talking about is lining up for quarterback. They did a good job of bringing in some quality offensive linemen. But again, it's going to take a year or two before those guys are ready.
How do you think they finish in the portal? I know they got a couple guys that they're still targeting.
I think they're looking at the kid from Charlotte.
They got the kid out of
Dimitri,
South Carolina.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about a guy from South Carolina. I guess you would take him if you got to, but definitely the kid from Charlotte. I would take him. Could they get away with just taking one offensive lineman? Maybe. I don't know. But anybody expecting like Armella, those guys to come in as freshmen and just plug in, it's not gonna happen. And I like you don't want that to happen. You don't want them to play. You want them to take a year and get stronger, bigger, develop. Because that's what's been the problem. These guys been playing as freshmen and getting banged up by grown men, and then they spend a whole year recovering. They can't lift.
Is the example for that.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good player, but he hasn't had a chance to develop because he was forced into action way too early. Maurice Smith is another one.
Mm-hmm.
Forced into action way too early. So that's been the problem. You don't want those guys to play early. I mean, look, Mims ain't playing. I shouldn't even bring that name up, but my bad. But he's all world, and he ain't even playing. Right, he's not playing.
So, but then defense, I feel like defensively, I feel like they have enough talent to win games. It's offense where if you wanted to question talent or whatever, like I said, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, those were the things. But they've addressed most of those issues in the portal, and done a pretty good job of getting guys in that can come in and, like I said, at least be competitive. The problem was if you didn't go to the portal, you were gonna get absolutely destroyed, just as you were the last 2 years, because you just didn't have guys that were physically ready to play. So talent wise though, I think they they're in the spot to win games. They just got to execute. They just got to play. You got to go out and make plays, man.
What's your thoughts on Verse?
Verse. Physically, Verse has everything you want. I think.
Turning me into a believer.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said he's turning me into a believer.
Oh yeah. I mean, physically, when you look at him, he has what you want. You know, I think what you're going to see with him this year is, you know, obviously he's making a jump from, you know, Albany or whatever. So it's a different level of competition. I think you'll see him make some plays, you know, but then probably just disappear at times. Then, you know, splash here, there. He's still learning the position too, man. I mean, he only played 1 year.
Yep.
As a defensive end, you know. I think he'll be serviceable this year. I think next year could be a money year for him.
I think my thing with him is, which is what you just said is how I've actually felt about him this whole time. But the thing with him that kind of has me a little bit more intrigued. He's a way better athlete than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize he was that fast. I didn't realize he was that twitchy.
Oh, when I saw him running your boy down from Syracuse, I was like, yo.
Way better athlete than I thought. And
I think he's a lot stronger than what I thought, too.
And dare I say, he might be a better athlete than Jermaine. And I don't even think that's a stretch. Now, Jermaine had better technique, and obviously, Jermaine was a more developed football player.
Yeah.
And Verse might have a higher ceiling than Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think where I think Jermaine made his money was here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because Jermaine made plays where you shouldn't have been able to do that, but just by knowing, you know, situations, you know, he was able to kind of use those instincts to make a play. You know, obviously you don't get that. You don't have that experience to kind of develop those instincts. So, you know, like I said, I think it'll take some time. But, yeah, I think athletically for sure, I could see Verse running. What did Jermaine run? 4.5 something, 40?
I think 4.56.
4.56, put up 27 reps on the bench. Broad jump of what, 10, vertical 32, I think it was. Oh, Verse can hit those numbers. I would put money on it.
Yeah, I would too. So let's get into the big topic of today. The battle of our former coach and Nick Saban, and just this whole NIL thing is really taking, I think, the sports world by storm. What is your thought? What are your thoughts on what happened today between Nick and Jimbo?
I mean, I think Nick been planning that since January, bro. Think about it. Nick was like, everybody already believes what I'm going to say anyway. They believe they paid for those players. I'm just going to say it and see what the reaction is. And you saw the reaction from Jimbo. I think he knew Jimbo was going to come the way he came. And then, you know, Nick went on the little radio show this afternoon and was like, my bad. Yeah, I shouldn't even said nothing. Like, my fault. You know, I think Nick been playing that, man. Just, you know, that cat, you know, every time they kind of come up with something, you know, some people were bringing it up on Twitter, talking about the whole man down field when you're passing and the hurry up offense. Every time he complains about something, he just basically do it and perfect it. So basically it was almost like he was saying, I know what you've been doing. All right, we're gonna play ball now. And just to ruffle some feathers or whatever, but it's crazy, man. I didn't like how Jimbo came out and made it personal though. It ain't like Nick was criticizing the players. It wasn't like he was saying anything about the players. And Jimbo kept saying, you know, he's critical of the players. I'm like, he didn't say anything about the players. He just said y'all were paying everybody, you know? And you know, and Jimbo was talking about go dig into his past and, you know, look at this and look at that. And I'm like, well, Jimbo, a lot of cats probably said the same thing about you. They ain't like working for you either. So
this might not be popular. I'm gonna defend Nick Saban from this standpoint. Whether or not he's a hypocrite or not, we can argue. I think what Nick is saying is what I've kind of been saying all along. This NIL thing isn't NIL. It's pay for play. If we just call it pay for play, I don't think anyone has a problem.
Right.
But when you start talking about name, image, and likeness, man, these companies are not paying the long snapper a name, bro. Name, image. The company gets no benefit. There's no name, image, or likeness with a long snapper. No one even knows who you are. Like,
Right. There's no ROI, there's no return on investment. I know your boy down in Miami, that clown show down there, talking about
comments. Here we go.
talking about let's get it popping in there. Talking about, they get a return on their investment.
No,
And I think it was you. I think it was on Twitter the other day, and I was like, it was they did it for perception. With the basketball player, they were like, we can get this basketball player $400K or $800K over 2 years or whatever. And I was like, what sense does that make when football is the moneymaker? So wouldn't you give that to like a prize football recruit or whatever? You know what I'm saying? And it was almost like they were like, well, let's just give it to this basketball player and put it out there, because if you realize that is the only player that they put any figures out for, right? And they ain't signed no top players yet, football wise.
I said that. I said, when is this Miami money machine actually gonna sign somebody?
Yeah, like who you gonna sign? So it was almost like a perception thing, like let's just put that out there, and people gonna think we have all this money or whatever. But like, you ain't signing anybody though, and you're not. Look, the kid came from what, Kansas State, bro. No kid from Kansas State is, and I think he's originally from like Nebraska, or Indiana, or somewhere. No kid, you can't give him $400,000. You're not gonna make a return on that. How you gonna make any money on that? Nobody even knows who he is.
That's my thing with this name, image, and likeness. There's no return. The only position is maybe quarterback. And what Nick Saban, and again, this goes back to my Nick Saban point. What Nick Saban is saying, there's not a high school player that should be getting an NIL deal. Now, you play a year of college football and you make your name, then the NIL deals start making sense once you actually have established a name. This is honestly what I think Nick Saban's saying. I'm not so much defending him. Yes, it's kind of hypocritical for Alabama of all schools to talk about, oh, you paying players. We know that. Like, we know that's happening. I strictly think Nick is talking about NIL being this
pay for play,
this facade.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not really what it is. And like Zoe just said, and I think Nick Saban saying the same, this isn't sustainable what's happening right now. It's not.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not. It'll correct itself. It ain't gonna take long. It ain't gonna take long for it ain't gonna take long for your boys down there to go 7-6 again, and your boys start pulling that money back down south.
But
look, here's another prime example though. Like Jordan Addison, right? Best college football wide receiver in the country last year. If you were to go and ask 10,000 people, like just randomly, if they know who that is, nobody gonna know who he is.
No, they're not. He's, again, the Biletnikoff winner. He's not even worth this so-called huge NIL. It's what they say, $3 million that USC is giving him.
Yeah, 3.5, I think it was.
He's not worth that. The diehard college football fan knows who he is. That's it. No one else knows who Addison is. I don't even know his first name.
Yeah, I mean, at first I was like, who? And then I was like, and then I looked at his numbers and I was like, oh wait, yeah, that's the old boy that won.
Right.
And I'm like, we follow college football.
And guess what? If you take that helmet off of him and put him in the lineup, I wouldn't be able to tell you who he is.
No,
I wouldn't be able to tell you who he is.
Yeah.
So that's my point. Like this NIL thing is so. But I've been saying this the whole time. But everybody, the kids got to get paid. I'm cool with the kids getting the money that But a lot of these numbers you're seeing, they're either fake.
I think they're fake.
I think majority of them are flat out lies.
Yeah, I think they're fake.
I think majority of them are flat out lies.
Yeah, I don't even believe your boy talking about they gave that kid the $400K. I swear I don't.
Let me ask you a question real quick. AR, this is the comment. I'm asking this question. He says not worth it. He's the best wide receiver in the country. Let me take the helmet and pads off of him and throw him in a crowd of people. Would you know who Addison is? I bet you don't.
We'll be like Q Sweat. Nobody.
You wouldn't know who he is. So how is the company benefiting off his name, image, and likeness when you have no idea who that dude is? Nobody knows who he is.
Now maybe he's talking about not worth it from a team perspective. Like it's worth.
He's talking about money.
Like yeah, but from the base NIL, yeah.
From a business standpoint, majority of these huge numbers, then none of them are worth that. Now again, your quarterbacks, there's a little bit different beast.
Well, look, why didn't Ruiz give that money to Van Dyke?
Because it's a recruiting tactic.
But I'm saying though, you could the next 5-star quarterback could be like, oh, you know what I'm saying?
I wonder what Van Dyke is getting. I actually find it funny that Van Dyke
he got a little BMW, and I think I saw something like
I know they're leasing cars down there. I know that.
Yeah, like that's a joke to me, but I'm like, bro, they were doing this in the 80s. It ain't nothing new about that.
I've been saying they've been doing this in college football for the last 40 years. It's just now, you know.
Oh man, it's crazy.
Okay, you got to keep up because we're not talking about on the field. We're talking about from a business standpoint, AR. So you got to keep up, man. It's okay. I know you, Georgia fan. It's hard for you to process information. You kind of slow. Just keep up with the conversation, big dog. Appreciate you for being in here. But by the way, 54 people in here, man, hit the like button and share the video. But yeah, man, NIL is just the topic. It's the major topic. And I think Lane Kiffin, there were some shots by Lane. Of course, Dion got involved. Where do you think? Where do you see this going? Like, where do you see this going?
Man, well, I think for one, these little companies or whatever, like I said, you know, they can be like, oh yeah, we're not getting any return on this, so I think they're going to start falling back before. I think that's going to start kind of its own self-regulation. You know what I'm saying? But then, I mean, I'm sure somebody's going to try to step in and start trying to regulate it. Somebody asked earlier, how do you regulate it? I have no idea.
Me neither.
I have no idea. I mean, it's almost basically you're going to have them to recognize them as employees and like form a union of some sorts, which honestly I don't know a ton about. But I do know under those circumstances you could kind of, you know, regulate it a little bit better or put some type of cap in place or something. But I don't know. It's crazy, man. And then I guess too, however these schools shake out, whether they decide to, you know, get all of the top schools and form a conference or whatever, you know, who knows if the ACC is going to be here in 5 years. I mean, I'm sure all of that's going to play into it as well.
I think in a lot of ways, I think what you're watching is the slow death of the NCAA as we know it.
Oh yeah.
It's dying, but it's dying a slow death in front of us. It literally almost has no power right now.
And they've admitted as such. Like, I mean, it's like they knew this was going to happen, and they just like, yeah, let it happen. And then here in the last couple of weeks, you know, they're trying to be like, you know, we're gonna put this in place and regulate the, you know, the boosters or collectives or whatever. But I think they were just talking.
So you think they were just talking?
Yeah, I think they were just talking. I don't think they're going to pursue anybody really. I mean, what are they going to do?
Well, they can't pursue nobody because there's no rules for you. There's no one broke any rule.
Right. Yeah. So what you gonna do? You know,
that was Jimbo's main defense today. He kept saying no laws and rules were broken.
Yeah,
you're 100% right.
Yeah, he ain't lying. You know, he ain't lying from that perspective. You know,
yeah, 100% right. No laws were broken.
Yeah, I mean, but I will say though, I'm all for the players getting paid. I mean, as a former athlete, hell, I wish I could have got paid. I'm like, yo, can we make that retro back in the day? But but in terms of just I love that the players have the freedom to make moves and enter the portal if they feel like the situation's not best for them. But something's got to be done with the portal too, man. I mean, there's thousands of kids out there that are just sitting there, and basically their career is over unless they swallow their pride and decide to go down a level or two just so they can be able to play or something. But you have all these players that have these people around them telling them how great they are, and you should enter the portal because you're not getting this or you're not being able to play here. And usually there's a reason why you're not playing, bro. And there's a reason why you've been in the portal for 6 months and nobody's even giving you a sniff.
I agree.
So
I agree.
They got to do something about that too. I mean, I love it that they have like I said, if you look at Jermaine Johnson, that's a perfect example. Hey, I'm not getting to play here. I think I can play though. I have talent. I can probably be picked up somewhere. And these kids, I think they have an idea that they probably can, be join a new team. And he came here and, he bet on himself and he won. But then you see the flip side of it, of thousands of kids doing the same thing and it not working out. And then they don't have any money to finish school. And then what are they going to do? They don't have no football. They don't have a degree. They don't have anything. They right back where they started from. Sad, sad, sad.
Do you like speaking of the transfer portal, NCAA just came out with this scholarship thing now, which I think is going to be, I don't think it's that big of a deal because football still has an 85 scholarship limit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's as big as a deal as people are trying to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, I think it's just going to boost the transfer portal even more. So
yeah,
schools are going to over recruit. They're going to sign 30, 35 guys, I guess. And then the guys are going to know on the team, they're going to see the writing on the wall and just hit the portal anyway. So what's your take on that? You agree with the same or?
Yeah, I pretty much agree, man. Like I said, because you have the 85 limit, that it still kind of limits them somewhat. You probably can, it'll be easier to kind of have the attrition that you want as a coach. If you have some guys that you see they're not panning out, you're like, I'm going to sign these 5 guys right here at this position or whatever. And then it's like, oh, well, yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and hit the portal then.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like you said, I agree with you pretty much on that take. I don't think it's a big deal. Not as big a deal as a lot of people make it.
Right.
Because you have, the 85 limit. I guess you could conceivably say the rich could get richer potentially as far as, the top teams just oversigning guys that could start at, a second tier, kind of program.
Yeah.
But overall, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
I agree with you there. What else you got, man? I don't think I have any more questions, but if you got anything.
No, that's pretty much it, man. Like I said, I've been debating to do a pod on my own, and like I said, I don't have the format you have here. I love this format here. You got everybody in here. The community is awesome. I watch your videos, and the comments have me rolling sometime, man. So shout out to you guys for tuning in for us. Appreciate that. But like I said, I was kind of struggling myself. Like, man, there's not really a whole lot to talk about, and to sit there and kind of go over these things. Just talking to myself kind of on the pod, I was like, that doesn't really excite me. But as I reached out to you earlier and yesterday, and I was like, yo, what do you think about this or whatever? And you like, I'm down. I was like, cool, because I know we agree on some things, but I think we probably disagree on some things too. So I was like, this will be fun. So I was excited. To come in and talk about everything that we talked about. So yeah, I think we covered everything though. We've been in we've been here an hour already.
Yep.
So
man, time goes by. And there's times you say you watch me every now and then. There's times I'm on here and all of a sudden I look up and I've been on here 2 hours and I'm like, wow, it's been 2 hours. But
yeah,
time just can go by on here.
Yeah, but yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything, man. 8 wins is. I'm expecting. I need 8 wins, bro. I need 8. Like I said, 7. The only way I would conceivably let 7 slide is if they beat the all the rivals. You know, talent's there, experience is there. You gotta make it happen. Recruiting wise, we'll see in the next couple months how it's gonna shake out. If you see guys that they were in on not coming to campus, you know what it is.
I agree with you there. Like,
you know what it is, and then
if you win 7, then you better beat all your rivals. And then I can kind of sit back and say, okay, you only won 7, but you beat Miami, Florida, Clemson.
And you can kind of sell that on the recruiting trail, because those are all the guys that are talking, negative recruiting you over the last couple of years. You be like, look, we got over the hump, we beat them. We slipped up over here, but we beat them. So yeah, that's kind of how I see it, man. But I'm really interested to see how they do this summer recruiting wise, and then if they get off to a good start, if they somehow were to beat, obviously we expect them to beat Duquesne, but if they were to somehow beat LSU, I think that could be a shot in the arm for them early enough in the season where, you could be like, hey, I told you we were coming. And, that might kind of, get some excitement going on the trail and get some guys that'll give you a second look otherwise that wouldn't have.
Yeah.
So I was talking to somebody the other day. I was like, man, sometimes I wish I could have snapped my fingers and be like, yo, let's see how it shake out, baby.
Right.
Because it's like, damn, I'm tired of talking about it. We didn't talk about it to death.
But this is the worst part of the year. The summer.
Yeah. It's like
fans. It's just all a bunch of can't wait for all, and I love the summer, but you just can't wait for fall. Just can't wait for fall.
Yeah. I mean, like the last month or so, man, it's just been like, man, it's like ain't nothing happening.
Right.
So yeah, I'm ready to see kind of how the summer rolls and see if they get anybody else from the portal. See who they get in recruiting wise, and then we'll see how it shakes out this fall.
That's what's up, man. Hey, like you were saying, I was struggling because I like you said, we had about 50, 60 people in here tonight, and so I feel like I'd be owing people more videos, more content. There just don't be anything to talk about. So I was actually glad you hit me up and you wanted to do something. And I know you said we agree on some things and we disagree on some things. I feel like we agreed on mostly everything tonight. So we definitely got to do this again so we can disagree on some stuff. I know people will be very interested to see us go back and forth on disagreements, which is fine by me if that's fine by you.
Yeah, I'm all for it, man. I love a good debate. That's what it's all about.
So you definitely have an open invite whenever you want to come back. You just hit me up. You know how to contact me and let me know what you want to do. We come up with a topic and we can definitely do it again. But I appreciate you, man, for coming on here tonight. And like I said earlier, I don't have nothing else. So unless you got something else.
Nah, man, I'm good. I appreciate you. Like I said, having the invite open, and I enjoyed it. Hopefully the community enjoyed it. And yeah, we definitely can do it again soon, man. Like I said, it's tough. It's tough just this time of year with not too much going on, but I'm sure we can kind of come up with some things to discuss and give everybody some good content and entertainment.
Absolutely.
Yep. Cool. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you for coming on, man. Again, if you guys go check on Built for Playmaker podcast on all those platforms, Spotify, Apple, all that, right?
Yep.
And then, you're also the leading editor for Chop Chat. So, and tell them one more time where to follow you out on Twitter.
Yeah, KH at Chop Chat. And just look. Usually, I'm talking to Polk anyway. So yeah, you'll find me on there. Yeah. All right, man. Y'all be good.
Yeah. Have a good night.
All right, bro.
All right. There you have it, guys. Try to do my best to bring y'all something. And we got more stuff. We're gonna do some stuff this weekend. I'm gonna bring Bald Head Jurg on here this weekend, and we're gonna talk some stuff. Probably Terrence get on here too. So I'm trying to kick back up the more content. And we're going to try to get that going. It just don't really be anything to talk about, man. Don't really be too much to talk about. But I appreciate everybody for coming in here. Hit that like button. Because we had a guest in here, I was being nice, but y'all was skimming me on my likes. Y'all played with me on my likes this video. Y'all ain't ring my doorbell. Y'all ain't knock on my door. Y'all played with me, and I let y'all get away with it. Don't make it a habit. We had 60 people in here, and I got 45 likes. It only happened because Kelvin was in here, and I didn't want to stop the conversation. Don't make it a habit, y'all. That's a warning. Make sure you hit my like button, y'all. But as always, man, it's your boy Polk on here on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles. I'm going to finish watching this. I might not even finish watching this game because it looks like Boston is destroying Miami tonight. Oh, yeah, 80-57. Oh, Heat fans, where you at? Cry me a river. But as always, man, stay classy. It's your boy Polk over here at 863 Seminole TV. And we at you. Go Noles. This weekend, we got another video coming up, so y'all be ready.